my discovery friends. Sorry I haven't made a video yet, but I've been looking through all my books and I thought I would go through all my Dr. Seuss books I have and I would read to all of you guys. So today I'm going to start with If I Ran a Zoo by Dr. Seuss. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes, that's just what I'd do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here now are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I want something new. So I'd open the cage, I'd unlock every pen, let the animals go and start over again. And somehow or another I think I could find some beasts of a much more unusual kind. A 4-footed lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 foot at least. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, what a sight! The zookeeper, newkeeper, old Gerald's quite keen. That's the gold-darnedest lion I've ever seen. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people talk. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people gawk at the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk. I'll get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another hen's topknot, and then another one roosts in the topknot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth and upward and onward, gee whiz. But that's just a start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come. Where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places. And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. You have to go places no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skeagol-mobile and bring back a family of what do you know, and that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow. I'll hunt in the mountains of Zumba-Motamp with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant, and capture the fine fluffy bird called the bustard, who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard, and also a very fine beast called the flustered, who only eats mustard with sauce made of custard. I'll catch him in caves and I'll catch him in brooks. I'll catch him in crannies, I'll catch him in nooks that you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch him in countries that no one can spell, like the country of Mata-Fa-Pata-Fa-Pel. And in a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beasts that you never all saw ever. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes, whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel-din coats, and sit down like dogs but have voices like goats, excepting they can't sing the very high notes. And then I'll go down to the wildest of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Then people will say, now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He captures them wild and he captures them meek. He captures them slim and he captures them meek. What do you suppose he will capture next week? I'll capture one tiny, I'll capture one cute. I'll capture a deer with no hunter will shoot. A deer that's so nice he could sleep in your bed if it weren't for those horns that he had on his head. And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, 2 sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to another, whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart, can't tell where they end and can't tell where they start. Each deer is mighty puzzled, he never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way round. I'll capture them fat and I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scragglefoot Magulotawny, a high-stepping animal fast as the wind from the blistering sands of the desert of Sind. This beast is the beast that the brave chieftains ride when they want to go fast to find some place to hide. Mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring one back too. In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the iota. But I'll capture one who is even more finer in the northeastern part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, "Now by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder." Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with their bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a thwirl, whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and I'll capture some chugs, some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. I'll go to the African Isle of Yurka and bring back a tizzle-top tufted mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long if he swallows an oat. For breakfast the first day of April, they say, it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. I'll bag a big bug who is very surprising, a feller who has a propeller for rising, and zooming around making cross-country hops.